Data. Let me share my screen. Thank you for the welcome. Thank you for the invitation. I should just give a little introduction. The question is, who am I? We could say that that is the whole message of the Bhagavad Gītā, who am I? And to realize that the individual and the universal are one and the same, the message of Advaita. But at the everyday level, who am I? My name is Stephen Silver. I'm not Hindu. I'm not Asian. I'm just a middle-aged or past middle-aged, middle-class white man of Jewish origin. So why Gita? Why me? As Dr. Datta said, I've been in the School of Philosophy and Economic Science for over 40 years. The school started in the 1930s with economics. It was started on a belief and understanding that there is a thing called truth, there is a thing called justice. They can be understood or got close to, and they can be taught. And it started with economics. Economics is a study of human beings in society. It doesn't take long to ask, well, what is a human being? And then you're into philosophy. We draw on the traditions of the East and the West. And in 1963, we were introduced to His Holiness Sri Shantananda Saraswati Shankaracharya of Diyote Math. And we have been in conversation with him and his successor for over 50 years. And he has provided much guidance and inspiration, both in meditation, dhyana, and in the study from the Upanishads and the Gita. And we've been studying the Gita for over 50 years in the school. Why have I asked to give this talk? The question is the Gita and its personal relevance. And as other speakers have already said, this Gita is not a theoretical exercise written down thousands of years ago. It is relevant to us every day, for us every day. So it is recognizable in everyday life. Now, we know, of course, that it starts, chapter 1, it starts with the despondency of Arjuna. He's about to face this battle. And of course, while we may not be facing a worldly battle in that sense, we are facing a battle every day with our, what one might say, the virtuous influences in us and maybe the not so virtuous influences in us. And many commentators on the Gita, and I am grateful to all the people who have translated Gita and commentated on it. I have a little knowledge of Sanskrit, but not a lot. But I'm grateful to everybody. Many commentators ignore chapter 1, but some make the point that unless we are unhappy with our current life, why would we seek for a spiritual path? So it becomes important, and it's necessary. The Gita provides the necessity to move towards the spiritual goal. It gives us the necessity. People will recognize, I'm only going to quote in English. I'm sorry, my Sanskrit is not fluent enough. Do not yield to unmanliness, O son of Pritha. It does not become you. Shake off this base faint-heartedness and arise, O scorcher of foes. I'm using various translations because I love them and I want to give credit to as many as I can. But this verse was quoted by Swami Vivekananda. He says, if one reads this one shloka, then he gets all the merits of reading the entire Gita. For in this one shloka lies embedded the whole message of the Gita. So it provides this personal guide for us. It's also relevant, and again, as the previous speaker mentioned, the Gita is a series of questions and answers. And one of the things which I find very helpful is that Arjuna asks the questions that I want to ask. So this most famous one in chapter 6, O Krishna, the mind is very reckless, turbulent, strong and obstinate. It is difficult to rein in as to control the wind. And not only is that a great question, but Krishna doesn't say that's a silly question. He says, yes, it is, the mind is restless and hard to subdue. But by abhyasa and vairagya, it can be controlled. By abhyasa, the constant practice of memory of the self, and vairagya, the detachment from the body-mind instruments that we often get trapped in. So not only are they good questions, Krishna acknowledges that they're good questions. And I find that really very helpful, that it's relevant to us today now. So what else can I now say? I want to now talk about philosophy and the Gita. Philosophy, the Greek word which gives us philosophy, literally means love of wisdom. Love of wisdom. And the question then is, what is wisdom? Now, wisdom is one way of translating the word vijnana, which is described in chapter 7 as knowledge conjoined with experience. So wisdom is the heart of the Gita, but it is knowledge, not just the theory, it's a knowledge conjoined with experience, making it practical in our lives every day, right now. Famously, in chapter 2, you will know that Arjuna asks, what is the description of one of sthita prajna, of steady wisdom, steady knowledge? And that remainder of chapter 2, from verse 55 onwards to the end, is this wonderful exposition about what are the qualities and the descriptions of the man of steady knowledge. Now, Shankara, Adi Shankara, the first Shankara, in his commentary on the Gita, explains in the introduction to this chapter 2, verse 55, where the answer starts to be given, he says that the characteristic attributes of a man of steady knowledge, as well as the means of obtaining that knowledge, are taught. He continues, for everywhere in spiritual science, in Adhyatma Shastra, the very characteristic attributes of a successful yogin are taught as the means of attaining that, since they are attained by effort. So we are given by the Lord Krishna the characteristics of a yogin, because by practicing those characteristics, we may attain that state. We become wise by practicing being wise. So that's what I've just said, I'm sorry. So it's a means of attaining knowledge. Right? He goes on later, right, in chapter 7, right? I shall fully teach thee this knowledge, combined with experience, which being known, nothing more besides need be known. That's really wonderful. That's the one thing that we need to know, right? That knowledge of the self. The Shankaracharya gave us this exposition about jnana, vijnana, prajnana. Jnana, knowledge, it starts as information. It's practiced, which is vijnana, put into practice and discovered. So it becomes established in our being as prajnana, that knowledge which is always already known in there. I'm going to move a bit more quickly. The essence of the Gita, lots of people quote essences of the key verses, right? But Shankara says that the key verse, right, is the last verse in chapter 11. He who does my work and looks on me as a supreme goal, who is devoted to me, who is without attachment, without hatred for any creature, he comes to me, O Pandava. That's the verse that Shankara says is the essence of the whole Gita Shastra, which conduces to the highest bliss. Other commentators give other key verses. Every verse is a key verse. So I'm just going to make one point that in the previous verse, there is this word ananyaya, without any sense of other. This is key to Advaita. right? That the individual and the universal are one and the same. If we can be devoted, we start devoted to the absolute, but that journey of devotion takes us to union without any sense of other. Now, how do we make this practical in our lives? One approach is we use the Gita to find solutions for our problems. There's a famous quote from Gandhi, that when doubts haunt me, when disappointments stare me in the face, I see not one ray of hope on the horizon, I turn to the Bhagavad Gītā. So I'm grateful to a friend of a friend who sent me this as, if you have a problem, right, here are guides to some verses in the Gita that may be helpful. And that's really a practical guide, because sometimes we can be overwhelmed by problems and negative feelings and negative emotions. But of course, as a student of philosophy, we don't want to be overwhelmed by the negative. We want to, all of which come from desire in one form or another. We want to move towards the practice of the positive. So as we know, chapter 16, the first 3 verses was referred to by the Swamiji just previously. There's 26 qualities of the wise person. But chapter 10, verses 9 and 10 give qualities to practice. Chapter 12, verses 13 to 20 give it qualities to practice. And we're given these, and any of them will do. And all of them are relevant. And we practice what we can. We practice what we might feel that we're good at, so we can practice it more. We may practice what we feel we're not good at, so we get better at it. And I just really want to end, because I'm conscious of the time, right? What we often forget in the Gita is Sanjaya, the minister to Dhritarashtra, who is the one reciting the Gita. Without Sanjaya, we would not have a Gita. And he says, he ends the Gita at the end of chapter 18. Right? And he uses this phrase in memory of Krishna and Arjuna and the dialogue that again and again, joy fills my soul. And that is the practical application of the Gita in our life day by day. And it's highly recommended. So on that, I would like to thank you. A bow to the Guru, Sri Shantananda Saraswati Maharaj Ji, with thanks to the tradition of teachers who have given us the translations and the commentaries. All honor to the members of the Bhagavad Gītā Research Foundation and organizers of this conference and the sponsors. I thank you and honor you, and I respect everyone who is here today, speakers and listeners. Thank you very much.